YouTubers, Gasser Dave here. No, I haven't gone full Hollywood. I just had cataract surgery on my left eye, so I'm a little light sensitive, but let's see how this goes. Okay, so on this video, I'm going to go over what I did for my fuel system. I added a fuel cell and I added an electric fuel pump, and we'll go over some tips and hints as I show you what my system looks like. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is the start of my fuel system. As you can see, it's a polished aluminum 22-gallon fuel cell. I have a vent run to the outside. I'm using a autometer gas gauge for a Chevy, so I changed out the sending unit to match my fuel gauge. I have a little hint about this. When you order this tank, or a fuel cell in general, you get this foam that's inside the fuel cell. I would I would take that foam out. On my fuel cell, it's about 10 years old, and the foam started to break down, and it started to get in my fuel system. Luckily for me, I have a nice fuel filter directly leading from the fuel cell, and also another really nice fuel filter before it goes into the carbs. In order to avoid this, take out that foam. I took out all my foam, cleaned it out, replaced all the fuel filters, and I didn't put the foam back in. So basically, instead of a fuel cell, it becomes a 22-gallon fuel tank. Let me show you what the underside looks like. Okay, I'm under the car now. My car has a fuel sump. Then it goes 6AN line. From there it goes to this item here, which is a fuel cutoff. From there it goes into a nice fuel filter. Now, why did I put the fuel cutoff? Well, if I ever want to change the fuel filter, I don't have to worry about all the liquid draining out or the fuel draining out of my fuel cell. All I have to do is shut it off, and the only fuel I'll be leaking is what's contained in the canister and the lines leading to the carburetor. So it goes out of the fuel cell, which is a Fram unit, by the way. It goes into my electric fuel pump. The electric fuel pump is a Edelbrock Quiet Flow. If you've never used one of these, you should try it. It is really quiet. I've had this one for over 10 years. It also is wired through a relay, so it extends the life of the fuel pump. And then I run 6AN line all the way up, and let me show you where it comes out at the engine bay. Okay, here I am in the engine bay. I'm hoping you can hear me over the sound of my fan, because it is hot in this garage. Right there is an Edelbrock fuel filter. So right there, 10 micron unit. It goes from there into a split. I also have a gauge that shows my fuel pressure, and then it runs to each individual carb. Now, I do have the big fuel filter in the back, but you should always have at least two before it gets to your fuel pump. That way you don't get any debris and ruin your fuel pump. And also one before it goes into the carbs. And that catches every little bit there that goes into carbs. So again, if I need to change this fuel filter here, all I have to do is hit that fuel cutoff that I showed you before. The only part I have is what's draining in these lines here in order to change that fuel filter. I don't have to worry about fuel keep pouring out. And then from there I run it into Holley 600 CFM carbs. They're stock jetted. They are vacuum carbs, which I think works great for a dual quad tunnel ram. I've heard people say run the 450 carbs, you'll have nothing but trouble with those. The only change I've made to these carbs is the squirter. I run a 37 squirter that goes to each carb. So I get a bigger slosh of fuel when I initially press the gas. That way I don't have any stumble when I first start out. Of course, this is a stick shift, so I can feather the clutch a little bit if I do get any of that. And there you have my fuel cell. This was a short video. Again, thanks for staying tuned. Okay, so there it is. That was my fuel system that I installed I hope you can use some of the hints and some of the tips that I pointed out. And don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned as I still continue on with my door panel installment as soon as I get the other eye taken care of. Stay tuned.